Said they devalued the yen to such an extent that it's absolutely impossible to compete. So he bought it, and he's very unhappy about it. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is a disaster, and it shouldn't be signed. The NAFTA agreements and trade agreements that we have generally will be fully renegotiated by me. We have right now a deficit with Mexico, a trade deficit of $58 billion with Mexico. We have a $500 billion deficit with China. Can't have this. We will renegotiate. You know, Carl Icahn came out, he endorsed me, said Trump is the one that knows what the hell's going on. We have another problem. We have corporate inversions.
Damn
we have
straight.
companies that are leaving our country now. That's a big problem.
It is a big problem. Let's talk about China, though, for a second. You've talked before about slapping tariffs, 45% on China, if that's what it took. But wouldn't...
It's not actually what I said. The New York Times said I said that, but honestly, I was at a meeting with the New York Times. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said it is a threat that I would use against China.
Okay, do you understand, though, that if we get into a trade war with China, that could hurt a lot of working-class Americans who depend on cheap products from China to be able to get by?
It's going to hurt China more than it's going to hurt anybody. We have all the keys. We have all the power. Look, China has... absolutely, it's been one of the great thefts of all time, what they've done to the United States.
Yep.
And I have great relationships. I sell condos for
Huge
tens
theft.
of millions of dollars to Chinese. I have the largest bank in the world, which is from China, is my tenant in one of my buildings in Manhattan. I bought a building, I have a building through China, the Bank of America building in San Francisco.
Right.
I mean, I do a lot of business
So
with
they're
China.
pulling me to break. I want to ask you something, though, because before we go to break...
We can't let China continue to get away with what they're doing to our country.
So are you talking about, with China, whether we're talking about tariffs, are you talking about more threats?
It's a
than
threat.
Action?
No, it's a threat, but you have to be able to put it in place. What China has done to us with devaluation of the currency is unbelievable. And nobody thought they were going to do it again. And then 4 months ago, they had the largest devaluation that they've had in 20 years. The largest in 20 years. Now they're going to do it again. Our companies can't compete. They are devaluing their currencies. Our company can't compete.
All right, we're going to take
More money than anybody else. We have 19 trillion in debt. It's going to be 21 trillion because of the horrible budget that was just passed 4 weeks ago, which is shocking that they did that. So we're going to have 21 trillion in debt. We can't keep doing this. And if we're taking care of Saudi Arabia, they're going to have to pay us. And if we're taking care of South Korea, which makes a fortune, you know, it's an economic behemoth,
right.
And we have the madman right next to him, and we have 28,000 soldiers on the line, we're going to have to do something.
I'm going to ask you, too, I know we've got to go to the studio audience. I wish we had 3 hours. We don't. So I've got to dig into a couple things you've said here really quickly.
Go ahead.
First of all, you talk about the $19 trillion national debt. If I listen to the people I've been listening to for years on these issues, they tell me that your policies would add another $10, $11 trillion to the national debt.
They're wrong. I mean,
Dead wrong.
All they're saying is my policy is I'm going to reduce taxes, okay? And the taxes is going to bring jobs back, and we're going to bring jobs back into the country, big league, and we're going to have a dynamic economy.
Yes, sir.
You know, last quarter, Joe, we have
That's that Trump nation.
Joe, we have no growth.
Are you going to cut spending?
I'm going to cut spending.
And
We're going
where?
to cut spending big league.
Oh, yeah, big league.
So many, Department of Education. We're going to cut Department of Education. We spend more money per pupil than any country in the world by far, and we're ranked number 30 in the world. You have all of these countries, whether it's...
Trump, multiple past presidents have attempted to establish a peace agreement between both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And the one common theme is that they've all been unsuccessful. What specific steps would you take to establish an agreement between both sides?
Okay, I think it's probably the toughest agreement of any kind to make. It has been going on for many years. Many friends of mine have been involved. They're very, very good businessmen, very good negotiators. A lot of people say an agreement can't be made, which is okay. I mean, sometimes agreements can't be made, not good. Really being sort of culled to go after Trump.
But you're going to get hit by leaders.
They were asking, your brother was told to do this or this by Donald Trump, and they have to respond. I was being hit by everybody, finger in the button. I'm the one, the only one that said, don't go into Iraq. So don't tell me about finger in the button. I want to build our military so strong, so powerful that nobody's going to mess with us.
So what does that mean? Is that more money, too?
No, it's more money, but it's cheap compared to what we're doing right now. Nobody respects us right now. They don't respect us.
But are you talking about bigger defense budgets? Because right now we're already spending...
No, I'm talking about
over
better
$500
negotiated
billion.
defense budgets. Do you know that we're buying equipment that the generals and the colonels and the people in the field don't want?
Right.
Because these companies have
Political favors.
context. So much of it has to do with the fact that I'm self-funding my campaign. I can do whatever I want. We're buying equipment that we don't even want because certain companies have better political skills. And you see it all the time. They're getting a plane. They don't want it. They want the other one, and they could have gotten it cheaper, but they get this one because We are going to have a better, stronger military, and we're going to watch it so much. We will save so much money. Joe, there is so much corruption. There is so much waste and abuse in the military and elsewhere. But we're going to build our military strong. It's the cheapest thing we can do.
All right.
All right.
Nobody's gonna
When we
mess.
come back, our final question.
I have to
Tell me.
stop and I'll tell you, right. We're going to have a trade deficit
$8 billion.
this year, $58 billion, okay? The war is going to cost a fraction of that, maybe $10 or $12 billion, and it's going to be a real war. It's going to be a high war. It's going to be a beautiful. It's going to be a war
How
that
do you get
works.
Mexico to pay for it?
Very simple. You have 5 different ways. Number one, here's the key. They are making, right, if you look at it, a company, $58 billion. The wall is a year. We have a trade deficit with Mexico of $58 billion. All I have to do is start playing with that trade deficit, and believe me, they're going to pay for
You're
it.
talking about
You
a
watch.
possible trade war with Mexico?
I'm talking about negotiating with them. I'm not talking about trade war with them. I'm talking about Japan. We have all the cards, Joe. I was in Los Angeles. I see these massive ships coming in with cards.
All the cards.
We have all the cards. We don't play them. We don't have the politicians that know how to play them. We're negotiating against great negotiators. China, Mexico, Japan, believe me, we're going to start doing great with that trade. And that's the thing. Bernie Sanders can't do it. The bottom line is, I think he would be easier to beat than Hillary.
Okay.
Because I always wanted to run against a socialist in this country. I can't imagine it.
So
but I think it'd be easier
let's
to
get
beat.
some
The
final.
problem with Bernie's plan is everyone's going to pay 95% taxes. I mean, you know, you have that and you have all the other things that he wants to do.
So then
And you're gonna have-
let's talk about
You're going to have a
cost
tax
then.
rate of 95%.
So how do we reduce the costs for colleges?
Okay.
It's insane. The inflation
You're right.
for higher education
You know why?
is absolutely insane.
Because the students are a conduit to get all this money to the colleges. The colleges have gone crazy. You look at the fees they're paying, you look at the kind of numbers that the administrators are paying. Colleges have gone up practically more than anyone because the students, they're the real losers in this thing. They go borrow the money from the government, and the colleges charge more and more and more, and disproportionately more. They have to bring down their costs. We have to help the students, Joe, because what the colleges have done, their costs have gone up more than anything. Because the government basically gives them the money to do that through the students. But the students have
Whatever college
It's
costs,
not fair to the students.
that's what the government loan
Okay.
is.
We got
It's for that
we got
amount.
Herald now.
College goes to 100 grand, the government
Lisa,
loans 100 grand.
Herald, take it away.